Is there any camera on me?
No. No camera.
About to start our second episode of Good Deeds with Special Needs, our free virtual symposium, sponsored by Ryder's Room in conjunction with Malika and Associates. Hey everybody, what's up, Prince, Latasha, Letitia, Shashanika, Tracy, Grove, James, Jocelyn Farmer, Ronald Thomas. We want to welcome y'all. Thank y'all for joining us again. And all of you who didn't join us the last time, thank you for joining us this time. We're just going to get some more people in here before we get started with the conversation. I know y'all enjoy looking at Mr. Jordan, so we gave y'all some eye and ear candy. Tay Razors, Lynn Javon, Q Brown, Ken Barbie, Vernice Gary, Natasha Crawford. If I don't say your name, it's because it's moving too fast, but I'm trying my best to look. I love y'all back. Thank you all for joining us. Donna, just being real. I know that's right. Cornelius Harrington, Carla Irving, Kenya Ely, Kiki Hamilton, Sabrina Hollins, Sherry Seawright, I think, Connie Taylor. I could turn it around. Hey to everybody that's joining us for the first or second time. This is Good Deeds with Special Needs. We're just trying to share some information and conversation with all our peoples out there that might want to know. It's your girl, Faith Evans, and I'm not on the piano, but that would be Mr. Jordan. Hey, Gail Silverman. What's up, Quan? CC Maria. Hey everybody, it's your girl Faith Evans, and I want to welcome you to part 2, episode 2 of our free virtual symposium, Good Deeds for Special Needs. We had a great turnout on our first episode, and tonight we're here to talk about early detection and early intervention. My co-hosts tonight were with us last episode, and we're going to have a great discussion. We have a great musical guest and another parent who's a friend of mine who is here to share her experiences with us as well. And we're going to always welcome questions from everybody that's joining us. So once again, welcome. And as always, I want to start with a prayer. Thank you, Jesus, for another day. Thank you for our life, health, and strength. Thank you for everyone that is streaming with us, everyone they may share something with. And I truly pray that someone will be blessed and informed. And I just thank God for using me as a vessel for all the things that he has brought me on this earth to do. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, Once again, welcome everybody. My first co-host, I'll reintroduce her. Malika Mitchell, MS, holds a master's in counseling with the emphasis in rehabilitation from the California State University of Los Angeles. She provides her expertise in 15 plus years of hands-on experience and has held a position as a lead teacher, therapist, supervisor, program developer, independent facilitator for self-determination, and a consultant. She is proficient in working with children and adults diagnosed with developmental, emotional, and intellectual disabilities. She recently expanded her services and developed Malika and Associates LLC to provide multiple resources, services, and programs with an emphasis on person-centered planning. Please welcome my first co-host for this evening, Malika Mitchell. Hey, Malika.
Hello. How exciting all over again. Hello, everybody.
um, we can't see Malika. Let her say hi.
Hello. Hello.
Our second co-host of this evening, Dr. Zoe Bartholomew. We got her on the line. Okay, hold on one second. We need to send her the link for, yes, we do. Sorry, Dr. Zoe. You have her info, right, from the last time? Okay. Well, I'll keep talking. You can put it back until we get her on. Can you? Mhm. So, as you guys may or may not know, our topic for tonight is the importance of early detection and intervention. And I remember when I realized that something was wrong with my son. You know, when I, in my spirit and in my heart, felt like something is wrong. Um, I had three other children, the youngest of which was 8 years older than Ryder, and all of my children were saying words and speaking by 1 year old. Definitely before they were a year and a half, 2 years old. And so I felt that I had heard gurgles and different things and babbling, but there was a certain point where I wouldn't hear the repetitive mama or dad or whatever you typically would hear. I'm not a new mom, so I felt like something was wrong. And I mentioned this to our pediatrician, and he told me, it's be patient. Don't worry. Don't stress yourself out. Give them time. All kids are different. And I so wanted to lean on that, but at the same time, I knew what I knew.
Yeah.
I knew that he should still be saying a couple of words, if
Yeah.
not a sentence,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
not a phrase.
Yeah.
And I begged him for a long time, and then in the meantime of him telling me to wait until his next appointment or his next 6 months, I started putting Ryder independently in different therapies, OT and
Yeah.
speech therapy,
Yeah.
just because I'm like, well, let me try and get ahead of it.
Yeah.
If he's saying nothing's wrong and I feel something is, let me try my best to get ahead of it. And then his sitter at the time had a child that with special needs, and she told me about the regional center, which we talked about in our last episode. But in California, that is where we go to for our resources.
Yeah.
Our
Extra
free
assistance.
resources and
Mhm.
assistances. And I thought at that time, because she told me this, hurry up before he's 3 years old,
Yeah.
because you won't be able to get those things. And so I really had to convince our pediatrician to give us a diagnosis, because I'm like, hey, I'm just paying stuff out of pocket because
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong. And you're saying it's nothing. Can you just write this and so I can go and figure it out,
Yeah.
And so he did. And that enabled us to actually access the early intervention
Yeah.
things, services, which I think in essence, that's really just a phrase for what it means in those years of the early life between birth and toddler years.
Yeah.
But like I said, I thought that if you weren't there by 3 years old, it's a wrap.
Oh no.
But there are other dynamics and facts
yes.
to that, which
Yeah.
which opens up this conversation even beyond a regional center, because other states have different places there where they would go for these
Testings,
things. I
evaluations,
didn't know that I could take
assessments.
him there for this
Yeah.
and that and third.
Yeah.
So this is the reason why I want to talk about these things on tonight. So now that we got Dr. Zoe on, I'm gonna once again welcome everybody that might just be joining us and maybe has been here. But again, we're talking about the importance of early detection and intervention, because for different reasons, maybe in your life, they may mean something. But I feel like it's important for early detection. If you think something's wrong, then you got to get to the bottom of it. Even if someone else is telling you something different. If you know that, okay, I feel like, it's, if you done turned every stone, then that's a different story, but at the same time, most of the time we don't get that far. And in these days, a lot of our children are being diagnosed with autism and other, similar disabilities. So it's very important, because the earlier, the better for the child, no matter what you are going through as a parent. And it's very difficult. So I can't say like, oh, just do this and just do that. It's a whole walk, but it's so important for the child, because the older they get, the harder it's going to be to hone those things and get a handle on certain behaviors or certain things that come with whatever their disability is.
Absolutely.
Nonetheless, I would like to, because I could talk a lot, I want to welcome our second co-host. Oh, I think I jumped ahead of myself, but nonetheless, I'm going to introduce Dr. Zoe, who was with us last week. Dr. Zoe Bartholomew, she is known as Dr. Behave. She's dedicated her professional life to supporting individuals with disabilities. She's held many positions within special education, which include being a special education teacher to now being the special education program director at Dominican University of California. In addition to her academic endeavors, she's also in private practice, serving as an educational consultant who helps parents navigate through the IEP process. She's oh my God, I lost my page. She's an exceptional educational leader whose dissertation on the barriers of meeting the needs of special education students describes the overwhelming challenges found in special education programs. She is hoping to continue advocating for special education reform to ensure all students with any learning difference or disability receive quality supports and services. Everybody, welcome Dr. Zoe Bartholomew, representing the Bay Area. What's up? Hi, Dr. Zoe.
Hey, what's
Hi,
up,
Dr.
guys?
You know what? I was looking at my schedule, and I actually went out of turn. So we're all gonna be happy with it. Okay. But I did not even do my musical guest, because she was supposed to put us in the mood, and she's still going to do that. Okay.
Okay.
Let me just say this. She has many credentials, guys. So I'm going to read this as in a minute as I can. Okay. Our musical guest tonight is my spiritual sister, Yummy Bingham. Okay. Yummy Bingham. She's a New York native and an industry heir. Yummy was born in Queens in January 1986, and she's the goddaughter of Shaka Khan and Aaron Hall. At age 14, she was recruited by KG to form the group The Rain, and they were signed to Arista Records. By 18, Yummy became the youngest female CEO of a major affiliated label and the youngest female record executive. She formed the label Music Park with Grammy Award-winning beatmaker Rock Wilder. She released singles in the U.S., internationally, and she's like every singer's favorite singer. She is definitely one of those to me. She collaborated with Patti LaBelle, Talib Kweli, P. Diddy, Christina Aguilera, Mary J. Blige, Busta Rhymes, Sunshine Anderson, Nas, Keisha Cole, Maya A. Marie, everybody, even me, Faith Evans. And you know what? She is currently writing for Rick Ross and Nicki Minaj, and she recently performed on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon as an indie artist. Now, she's married to my brother, the legendary producer and artist Rufus Black, and they are growing their family and preparing to release more classics this year. Ladies and gentlemen, performing live from Audio Box Studios in Charlotte, North Carolina, please welcome the freaking amazing Yummy Bingham. Can I be heard? Okay, hold on, everybody. Someone told me we can't hear her, and this is like such an anointing moment right now. So we're gonna have to bring it back one time for my sister Yummy, because when I saw this performance, hold on. Okay, you ready? Okay, one more time, y'all. I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties, but live from Audio Box Studios in Charlotte, North Carolina, my singing sister. Y'all welcome Yummy Bingham.
I hear you crying right by your heart. Don't ever leave. When you hear my voice, know that it's only me. Let me be who I am. Trust me and I'll make it alright. I got all you need, what you want will come in time. Come out of your darkness, open your eyes and follow my light. I'll show you the way to eternal life. Tell him yes, and he'll do the rest. All that you need. Tell him yes, and you will be blessed. Trust and believe. Just give him your life. Live him your life today. You're only one yes away. Tell him yes, and he'll do the rest. You carry so much shame when your heart is off. I care to see what you try to hide doesn't even matter to me. right before you give up. You shook my way and I gave you strength. But the end of a thing is better than the beginning. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Open your eyes. I'll all you need is yes, and you will be blessed. Just give him your
Yay! Yummy! Oh my God, that was
so fun.
she made me just like tear up actually. When I saw her rehearsing over the computer, I was like, girl,
Wow.
you're too anointed. And I just thank you so much, Yummy and Rufus, for donating, the singers, the band, everybody, for donating your time to what we're doing tonight. Not to be too long-winded, since I already took us off schedule, I will go back to our conversation, which is about the importance of early detection and intervention. In the world of having a child, a family member with special needs, or if it's you yourself. And I just want to bring my two co-hosts into this conversation so we can kind of get it going. Because people, I realize before we do, everyone that's on the stream with us, I would try my best to keep up with the comments and questions, but I do like to keep the conversation going. So we will leave a certain amount of time to get to the questions, as I'll be pointing them out along the way. So we can go. And thank you again, everybody who's joining us.
Hello, hello, hello. It's so good to see you, and thank you everybody for just coming out and having a good time. This is such an important topic. My name is Malia Mitchell, and I definitely would love to be able to share some of this cool information with you and the importance of early detection and just some of the strategies in which you can take as far as to prevent any anxiety or any stress that may come along with having a young person or an adult person that has a different ability. I wanted to tap in, but I also wanted to check in with my co-hosts to make sure that we're able to just go ahead and have this conversation, and we can talk about the importance of parents being able to go and talk to their doctors. I think that's one of the key things that we should chime in on first, is making sure that we are taking our children to the doctor and having those checkups. And when having those concerns, understanding that it's not all about the money or if you can pay for something, knowing that there are free evaluations out there, that even if you talk to the doctor and the doctor tells you that wait and see approach.
Because that was what I was going to say. Like, well, what if?
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
definitely always when you go. Yeah, that's one of those things that we as professionals talk about all the time, because as doctors, they want to tell you all the time, wait and see, even though sometimes things may come out in a positive way. But a lot of times people wait on a long waiting time, and then that's really not a good outcome for the child. So I definitely want to encourage individuals to, if you do things, if you do see things that are concerned, as far as if you see different developmental issues, or you may come across some challenges, don't get stuck in just looking at your child. Look at some of those milestones and understanding that there are certain stages that a child needs to meet in order to meet those milestones as they develop as children. So I definitely want to be able to explore that a little bit, to be able to kind of tap in on your knowledge as far as what's going on in the Bay, and what are some insights that you think that you would see in regards to detection. I would love to be able to just keep talking with you in that regard, because I think it's important, because every area is very different. You know, we have our regional centers, we have our many different social groups and stuff, but what are you guys up to over there in the Bay? Like, what are some of the steps that you guys would take?
Well, piggybacking on the whole point of going to your doctor. So if you have a primary physician, and usually you have these wellness checks, those are good times to kind of check in with the doctor and let them know what you're seeing at home. Again, like we talked about in our last session, I need you guys to be honest. So you have to commit to saying, hey, this is really what I'm observing. I'm having some concerns. Another point that I see up here, because I also do support different childcare providers as well, talking with them as they're caring for your child, they are observing different things too. So don't take it personal, be open to listening to what they have to say. But they usually have a lot of good insight. And one of the things that will stand out a lot is the communication piece. So whether or not there's language that's being developed, whether they're speaking in what we call like this gibberish type of language, that's very important for you to pay attention. That's an early sign of there may be something else going on. And it's not to say that that child will have a actual diagnosis, but there are certain times of the child's growth and development that they should be developing speech. And so those are one of the common things that you can see very quickly. And you can get both medical speech services. So your doctor can refer you to a speech team as well as the school team, depending on the age. So I think on the school side, you need to be about 3 years old in order to start looking for those services, as well as the regional center, which is here in California. And like I told you guys last week or last session, you have the State Department of Developmental Services in other states that don't have regional centers. They offer speech supports as well. So those are places to just kind of get you guys started. And it's like, as soon as you can detect that early intervention allows your child to start growing and developing with potential language or learning other ways of how to communicate.
Right.
This is very true. However, from my own experience, I can say
Mhm.
that, I, like I said before, I've tried things independently before I got a diagnosis, because I had children. There's people that this may be their first child,
Yeah.
or they haven't,
Oh.
they don't know. They may have even read a book on the ABCs of pregnant. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, I knew, like, if I have three and they all were talking by the age of one, then something feels weird, And
Yeah.
although I wanted to believe what the pediatrician was saying, because on that other side, it was like, I hope nothing's wrong. I hope
Yeah.
nothing's wrong. But on the other side, I'm like, I feel like something is wrong.
Yeah.
And, again, like I said last session, I was just so diligent about, let
Mhm.
me try and negate whatever it is if I can, which didn't quite do that. But what it did was introduce me to people that kind of have continued to help me along this walk. But at the same time, for those that may not,
Yeah.
may not have children or may have and just still want to believe what the doctor says, I feel like in your gut, if you feel like something ain't right, then try your best to see what that might be. And if that answer don't feel right, it's okay to question that too.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of times maybe we don't know what to do if we do question it.
Yeah.
So that is
Right.
all a part of why I kind of wanted to do this whole thing, because I didn't know. There's things I still don't know, because as Ryder gets older, there are certain dynamics and things under this umbrella that we won't really come in contact with, or have to approach until he gets of that age. So I'm still
Right.
learning. So I'm, like I said before, I'm not here as an expert of any sort. That's why I like to have guys like you who are more experts of it. But at the same time, as a
You
parent,
are
I'm
an
an expert on
expert.
my
So.
child.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I'm an expert on my child.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's
Because
right.
I'm one of his only people that's there that he has
You
that's
got
going to
it.
fight for him
Yeah.
to the very end. Not the only, but I am certainly the first one, because he came out of me.
That's right.
I think
That's
that's
right.
what I think that's what's most important, is that parents need to remember that you
Yeah.
are the leading factor. You know, a lot of times what happens is when you get in unfamiliar territories, you know, because
Mhm.
families want to look at just the holistic growth. You know, my child is getting taller. You know, my child is maybe possibly talking. Maybe my child is possibly doing things that are so appropriate that we're not paying attention to certain milestones. But she's absolutely correct, because it's the parents that are paying attention. And like I mentioned in our last session, is when I say know your child, that means observing your child, playing with your child, talking to
Mhm.
your child, knowing what development processes are taking place with your child. You know, they have things as simple as testing your child as early as 6 months, or watching how your baby is responding to the touch of somebody touching their body. And a lot of times when you're dealing with a child with a disability, they're dealing with things that may be sensory. It may be
Mhm.
something that comes later as far as development and speech. We may look at things as cognitive ability. And the most important thing is that when we start to look at how this person can self direct, how
Right.
do they have the ability to live independently as a little person and even as an adult person? So it's important that we talk and have this conversation so parents don't get stuck in just looking at one thing. And just how we can piggyback off of what Faith was saying. You know, Faith had other children where she was able to see that. Some people just don't have that. So they don't know
Right.
what milestones to look at. If you don't and you have any question, this is where we say, go take those free evaluations. If you don't want to go
Mhm.
to all the appointments and the specialists, I know that's so uncomfortable. Just get a test. Just go get a free assessment. Find out what's going on. Because a lot of times, if you don't know that these assessments are free and you're worried about having to spend the money, it's okay. Go to those regional centers. Go to the social services building as far as your Department of Developmental Services. These are people that will give you a evaluation that will at least kind of lead you in a
Mhm.
direction. You may not get exactly what you say. Okay, I'm having a problem with my child speaking. I'm having a problem with my child moving their bodies, different things of that nature. You don't have to worry about that. You kind of get a direction. So I definitely want to be able to encourage people to get out there. If you have any type of question, get those free evaluations.
And if I may interject, you may go to these places not knowing what the hell to say.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
that's
That's
being
correct.
Absolutely.
that's being
Absolutely.
100% real from
Yeah.
my own
Absolutely.
experience. Like,
Right.
I was
Right.
told to come here because,
Yeah.
and you know
Yeah.
that's still all a part of it, because like you said something earlier about did you say self-direction?
Mhm.
Some, like,
Mhm.
what would that mean in plain speak,
Okay.
in
And
layman's terms?
being able to move, the ability to move around independently with minimal supports.
Mhm.
Now, when you have a little person, and thank you so
I
much.
mean,
for
I know what it
chiming in
means,
on
but
that.
I want you to
Yeah,
explain that to the people
absolutely,
that don't. Okay.
absolutely, because a lot of times that's what can be uncomfortable, is that verbiage, those words
Right.
that make you feel like, oh my goodness, what does that really mean? Well, guess what? That just
Right.
means the ability to be able to move around independently as a person of the same age. So if you have a child that's 2 years old, compare him to another 2-year-old. If you have a
Mhm.
child that's 3 years old, compare him to another 3-year-old. So
In
she's
terms of
absolutely of
how they're able to.
move
Right.
around.
Because
how they're
sometimes you
able
got to
to-
be real
yeah,
specific.
yeah, how they're able to speak,
Okay.
use their language,
Right.
play with the toys, be able to communicate their wants and their needs,
Mhm.
identifying what is important to them and what is important for them,
Mhm.
understanding the cultural matches and differences when you are looking for people that will support your child.
Right.
Not going into spaces where you're just allowing anybody to have an opinion
Mhm.
of your child. You're looking for
I went through
somebody that
that.
will understand the culture in which your child is
Right.
living,
Right.
whether that's race, whether that is religion, whether that is living arrangement,
Mhm.
whatever that is, status quo, whatever that is, you want to be able to find people that will understand that. You don't have to just take anything. If you feel like there is something that you understand is happening with your child that is impacting as far as your family, whether it's happy or unhappy, you want to be able to express that. And especially when it comes to different abilities. If you see that your child's not moving correctly, if you see that your child
Right.
is not talking, communicating, if you see that your child is not potty training happily, those simple milestones, you want to be able to ask the doctor, why is my child just making sounds?
And
And so what
yeah.
do you take on that, Dr. Zoe?
So what I was going to say is also what can help to combat some of that stuff is don't go to these doctors by yourself. I know sometimes we kind of suffer in silence. We don't want to share with the family or share with others what's going on, but you do need another set of ears and eyes and someone who can even be a note taker with you at the doctor to get the information, because sometimes you going by yourself, you may not process and register all that. Your emotions are high because at the end of the day, this is your child. So you love them to death. And whether it was a medical concern or not, you're going to have these emotions that are on high. So you need to bring someone in there that can kind of help balance you out, whether that's a partner, a loved one, a friend, a colleague, whoever. Find someone to give you some additional support, and that can help kind of combat when you're hearing something you didn't want to hear. Because sometimes the doctors, let's just be real, they don't always have the best, what do they say, the bedside manners and etiquette. They're very straightforward and direct, so they don't hold those emotions. And so sometimes you can take it as an offense how they're talking to you, but that's not really their intent. So sometimes it's good to bring someone who's a little more rational, can be calm in those kind of spaces and places and be able to be a support to you. And also always know you can get a second opinion. So you can't ever forget that. You don't have to go with that doctor. You can request another doctor, and every insurance group or whoever you're a part of in that process to get another doctor, you could go through that process and get you another second opinion. And then we also have independent evaluation groups that are out there to offer those supports as well. And some of them do take private pay insurance and so on. So what I'm saying is you have options, and that's what I tell my family. Sometimes in these scenarios, you feel like you're boxed in and you don't have options. No, you do. You just have to know that stop trying to fly solo is what I say. Try to have a team and support with you. So if you fly solo, sometimes that's what makes you feel boxed in. But if you start building your team, having that support system, coming with you to these appointments, coming with you to IEP meetings and so on, now you don't feel so boxed in. Okay.
One thing you did say, Dr. Zoe, was you said someone who has a, what did you say? Opinion. Which made a lot of sense, because I was about to say, well, hold on now, don't just bring anybody. What?
Right. Right.
No, she was saying the family member that has a rational. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, husband. But that's important because, okay, don't get me wrong, support period is it helps.
Yeah.
But if you got the friend, cousin, sister, whatever person supporting you that is also bringing you to the don't want to girl,
Yeah.
not want to
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
you really,
Yeah.
it's okay. Like, even though you may not have wanted to tell nobody, call that cousin that's a doctor that's going to tell you to get a second opinion, or
Right.
that may,
Right.
like, even if that's not their area of expertise, or,
Right.
oh, I got a cousin
Yeah.
that's a therapist.
Mhm.
I don't know. Some people don't have any of that. But at the same time, like, it is very important to not feel like you are the lower one on the totem pole in these situations. This is your child, and you
Right.
are in charge of their life.
Yeah, and it goes back to
You're in charge of their
yeah,
life.
yeah. When we talked about last episode, we talked about the importance of having a support group, because some people don't even have a cousin or anybody to lean on. So if you don't have anybody to lean on, if you are in a position to where you can't even ask a cousin because you may have relocated, what I find a lot of times is people relocate from areas that they do not have resources. So when you come into a state where you don't have a lot of resources, know that you have local community groups. That's where our parent support groups come in. And you also have your local regional center. You can then contact your social services group that's in your community through the Department of Developmental Services that will support you. You can go to your Department of Rehabilitation that will support you with an individual with a different ability. So it's important to know that even if you do not have a teen per se family, you do have professional resources out there that will be able to support you, answer any questions, offer you any type of resource that you may find that could be helpful to the individual in which you want to support, whether that's your child or a family member. So know that you are not lost in a space if you don't know anybody. You can definitely
Right.
reach out, like we said, tap into those support groups, tap into those
Mhm.
organizations that you may not know about the disability, but there's definitely a disability group that will offer you some type of support. So jump out there, be okay, and know that there's wonderful people out there that will support you and give you the information that will help lead you to the water.
And don't be scared. Like,
Yeah.
I totally can, even if you
Oh,
scared
yeah.
within your own mind, shoot, they don't got to know you scared. I
Right.
mean,
That's
it's
right.
okay to still get, help for your kid. Don't
Yeah.
tell nobody you getting it if you don't want to, but try your best to get it. And sometimes you usually have to tell somebody in order for you
Yeah.
to get it,
Yeah.
unless you know
Yeah.
everything already.
Yeah, you have to be honest. Like Dr.
Yeah.
Zoe said, I think, one key thing that you said, and we're going to keep reiterating on that, is that you must be honest. Know
That's
that
right.
no one to judge you. That when you have an opportunity to receive the support that you need, the more honest you are, the more results and identified issues that you can say, this is what I need support on, where you don't just have somebody making a bunch of requests. A lot of times when families don't have an idea of what's happening, or they're
Mhm.
trying not to be too honest, you find that you get a lot of information and you don't know what to do with that information because you're refusing to be honest. Be honest.
Well, I think, not to
Yeah.
interject, but to
Yeah.
interject, I think when that's the case, it's because of not wanting your child to be labeled, quote unquote. But guess
Right.
what? When you're talking about these things and the
Yeah.
services and supports, that ain't got
Yeah.
nothing to do
Do
with
it.
the
Talk about it.
community and the
Talk about it.
homies and
Reputation.
the whoever.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
cares? I'm getting
Yeah.
them to take care of this.
Yeah.
You understand? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said the last time, in myself, I felt all these things: the fear, the angst, the anxiety, like, did I do something wrong? And
Yeah.
did I drink an extra drink when I know I was pregnant? No, really. But
Right. Right.
it's like,
That's
Yeah.
I
real.
still wanted to figure it out because
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
my child.
Yeah.
And I don't
Right.
care what nobody, who
nobody
cares
think.
what y'all got to say or
Yeah.
think? I'm
Yeah.
not keeping him in the attic or
Yeah.
keeping him upstairs. We've even had to, like, because our child went through a period of eloping, like a lot of children on the spectrum do. We had to build all these gates around our house because he would zoom out and
Yeah.
be in
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I mean, thankfully we were able to do that, but I'm just saying, this is the thought. Even if you can't do that, but
Yeah.
talk to your landlord. Like, listen,
Yeah.
I need a lock. I need a lock on this gate because
Yeah.
my son be
Yeah.
running out,
Yeah.
and this is what happens, and I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen,
Mhm.
it's what it is. It's what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll go back.
No,
Let y'all
that's
talk.
it. No,
Let
that's
y'all
it.
talk.
We
We
need more
love that.
like that happening here. Yeah, come on, let's talk about it because we don't have enough parents that are standing up and being honest,
Right.
just like you, Faith. So I want to say thank you for that. To be
Yeah.
able, and it's not that you can't be honest. I get it. It's
Right.
not that you can't be honest. A lot of times it's hard to trust the individuals around you.
And it
A
comes with
lot
a
of
stigma,
times, yeah,
a certain treatment
Yeah.
you
towards your
want to
child.
make sure that
Yes.
if you have a certain shade of skin, you want to make sure that if you look, your family acts a certain way or is a certain status quo, that you present your child a certain way. Very important that you understand that it's okay. It's okay, and know that you are not alone, that it's okay to stand up and say, look, I need these services for my kid. I need this type of support for my kid. Like Faith said, if you have to go to the landlord and say, look, I need an extra lock on
Yeah.
that door. Let's get an extra lock on that door to create the safety so we don't have those stories that say that we don't have the support that's needed. It takes a village,
Right.
everybody. And we know that
Right.
we have to tap into the individuals around us to make sure that our children and that our family member, whoever that may be, is safe.
But even in saying that,
Yeah.
I think in a way that still goes back to some of those supports that
Yeah.
if people knew they could get, there's a certain line to put that under as
Yeah.
where they can pay your landlord to do that. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm
Talk
not
about
the
it.
Yeah.
expert on it, but
Accommodations.
hello.
Accommodations.
Hello.
Part of the ADA.
Accommodations.
Yes.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
accommodations.
So if you think
Yes.
I can't afford to do that, and he's gonna tell me, okay, there's a way to do that. You just really gotta
Yeah.
investigate it, and hopefully we can be a part of helping
Yeah.
people to get closer to those answers and those solutions and things of that nature,
And that goes
Yeah.
back to the advocacy. So, Dr. Zoe, what do you think in regards to that, as far as like, when we talk about the advocacy and we understand that early detection, like Faith pointed out, is that sometimes it's a little uncomfortable. And yeah, you have to get second opinion, but doctors like to have that wait and see approach. And
Oh,
if you
yeah.
have that and see approach like the doctor, come on, Dr. Zoe, to where they're telling you, oh, just wait, your child will outgrow that. If you are concerned about those things like speaking and cognitive ability and looking at your child's motor skills, and you're noticing that your child is maybe covering their ears when they hear loud sounds, and you're noticing that you're having a difficulty on certain things, reach out for help. Be okay with telling your doctor that, look, these things are happening, and not relying on them just waiting to see. Because sometimes
Yeah,
the
you
child
have
suffers.
you have to be consistent. So it's okay that there are certain stages where, a lot of things happen. I tell people from ages 0 to 5, those are those fundamental years. The children are growing, learning, developing, their brains are formulating. Everything is happening at this point. And what happens is there are these points where they are going to tell you to wait and see, but at the end of the day, like we pointed out, you're the expert first. You know your child, you're spending the most time with them. So if you're noticing this really isn't changing, I have done this wait and see, it's okay to go back and say, hey, I need another appointment, this is what I'm observing, and here's a little tip for you guys. Please start even recording certain things. You have to remember, when you go to the doctor, it's your report. It's how you're reporting out. They're not in your homes. They're not seeing what happens. They're not at family functions with you. Sometimes I've been encouraging my families to just record some of the things that are happening so that you can showcase that to the doctor so they can see it to believe it. They can actually see what's happening, see where the struggles lie, and they can help. Again, we talk about data collection. So even if you could take a piece of masking tape, put it on your leg, and you could just tally the number of times they're engaging in certain behaviors that you don't like or that are dangerous or so on. so that you can document that and give them some tangible information of this is really happening and I'm really needing some support. I need that referral to the next step. I need to get some additional help. It's the same protocols when you're dealing with the school side. If you're seeing that your child is still not making academic progress, they are still having lots of behavioral challenges at school, don't give up. You just keep coming to the meetings, keep having the meetings to say, no, this is a problem. But what we tend to do as parents at times, we don't always follow through. We're not always consistent. Remember, we have lives too. We have other things happening. We may have other children. So sometimes, just naturally, this is just for the whole human race, right? We can't always be on top of things, but do not beat yourself up about that. That's normal, natural, that's fine. But you can start by saying, hey, I got to go back to the table. I got to deal with this. It's okay. So that's the things that I'm seeing. And then as far as the stuff that Faith was talking about with talking with your landlord and so on, we have regulations in place for the American Disabilities Act. That's ADA. There are certain rules and regulatories that if individuals are residing in certain households and you're a tenant, they have the right to give you equal access to certain things you may need in order to be accessible to that home or that apartment or so on. And so it's okay to openly make that request. And if need be, you could take it a step further. We do have certain regulatories in place for landlords. There are tenants' rights and so on. But the point is, we have things set up, but we don't think that it's okay to ask, or we may be embarrassed to ask, but you can ask. It's okay. And most of the time, they will accommodate because they want to make sure that you have what you need to be safe in that home.
Right.
I wanted to interject before, but you were saying so much good stuff. But you said something about and I know we got to go to our Q&A, so we might be a couple minutes behind that. But you said something about the getting your child what they want, right?
We were talking.
Getting the Jesus, what they want him to do? They want him to be oh my God.
I don't know.
And anyway,
I don't know.
what I'm saying is when these people are over here trying to dictate what's going on with your child. Now you were saying that with regard to getting the services, which makes a lot of sense.
Right.
But people don't understand the dynamic in that, because you may be able to get y'all know I'm smart. I'm so intelligent. What do they want Ryder to do? The lady is going to look at him and
evaluate.
Thank you.
Evaluation.
Assessment.
Assessment.
Yes, an assessment. Thank you.
Yes.
Jesus, I got so many big words in my head, y'all. Anyway, but sometimes when Ryder got assessed the one time he was, which was probably first grade, it was so weird.
Yeah.
And I was only doing that because they told me this is what I had to do to access these services. However, I would never take him back to that person. So I would like to make that understanding clear with the people who aren't even familiar with that whole thing, because that doesn't, first and foremost, like we keep saying, you be with your child all the time.
Yeah.
There is no way this person is going to sit with your child, or even if, like you said, videotape them and show them, do them that to get the things you need for your child.
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, nobody can really sit there and tell you this is wrong and that is based on that one thing, unless they have been spending time with and working with and really been passionate about understanding your child.
Right.
And you won't know that unless you actually sadly go through it, or have someone that is good enough, or you're blessed enough to have someone that has been that for you, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I think is most important, is that, when you talk about recording, sometimes people are
I'm sorry
resistant.
to cut you off, but because I say that because earlier on, when I was independently paying for Ryder to go to these therapies, there was an agency that sent people to our home with a video camera.
Yes.
And this is at a time when I was still trying to figure out my
Uh-huh.
son, and it just got weird. It was so weird to me because I'm like,
Yep.
well, what are they gathering from this?
Yep.
Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong. That's not to discredit their professionalism or their way of doing things, but that never made sense to me. I'm a very intelligent woman.
Yeah.
And I'm
That's
like,
what-
how the
yeah.
hell
Yeah.
can you just
Right.
Uh-huh.
film my son on one day and assess
Mhm.
what's
Doesn't
wrong
work
with it?
like that.
That's what I
Right.
wanted to try.
Unless this is going to get us
Yeah.
some funds
Yeah.
to get
well,
us some real help that we
Yeah.
can get a handle on.
Yeah, when
Right.
you talk
I'm
about
just saying,
recording,
just keeping it real, y'all.
yeah,
Just keeping it real.
sometimes that recording can
No
Right.
disrespect, Dr. Zoe.
yeah,
None of
yeah.
the doctors.
yeah, can
Mhm.
kind of put such a discomfort in there that we want parents to understand that it can be as simple as just picking your phone up and just jotting down notes,
That's right.
putting dates down, making sure you put the
I mean,
date.
even if they filming
writing
it, I
the
just
inform-
feel like when she was
sometimes
talking
people
about
don't
it,
like it. Sometimes people
but when
really
she
don't
was
like
speaking
that.
of it, it was more in the sense of when you're trying to access these services, and you
Absolutely.
do got to put it on
Yeah.
thick, thicker than thin.
Yeah.
Like, don't lie. If anything, put it on extra. I'ma say it,
Well,
and y'all
yeah.
can't say it, I'll say it. Put it on extra. Get a
Yeah.
transfer all the stuff,
Yeah.
everything. Let
There's
it
there's
like
a
you're doing a
difference.
record
Like,
sale.
yeah.
Right, right.
I want
Yeah.
$10 million.
Right. Right.
Well, I'm just saying, for real, for real.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's a big difference
That's
between
the fun
someone coming out to try to assess your child, and really a good assessment is done over time. So just a disclaimer out there for parents. No one should just do 1 hour session or something like that, and voila, they got this 13-20 page report. That's not real. So that's number one that I want to point out. But yes, when the doctor isn't in your home, so you have to have some kind of evidential proof for them to kind of see and believe what you're saying. Unfortunately, they don't do those home visits like way back in the day. We had doctors that did lots of home visits and stuff. That doesn't happen anymore. That's not the protocol. So that's what that's for. But then on the flip side, when you are getting assessments,
Now you have
assessments
the
are done
checklist.
over time. That's right. Exactly. So just
Yeah.
be mindful of that. Is
Got
they should be
checklist.
coming in for a few sessions and maybe hanging out for a partial
Yeah.
day or a full day, things like that. They may even be asking you to collect information for them because they can't be there all day.
Absolutely.
So that's how a real assessment is done.
Yeah, I think that's what's most important, and not and being okay with sharing the information in order to get your child the assistance that they need, whether that is a child that is under the age of 3 or even over the age of 3, knowing that you can get support out there. There's many different supports that will allow you to be able to help your child in their development. So you're absolutely correct. Jotting those things down, being able to create a journal. There's a lot of individuals that will take a journal and be able to document the stages in which they see their child is experiencing. If your child is experiencing different developments, you want to be able to document that and their milestones, what age they did what they did, what those challenges may look like, what they may not be able to do, and what it looks like when they're engaging in that task. So you want to be open with the doctor so they can support you and send you in the direction, I want to say, to receive the supports that you need.
We have to go to our questions because, as we always do, we talk so much and we never shut up.
We talking too much.
We
never shut up.
But we gotta get the people. So we have a couple of Facebook questions. Lindsay Chanel was the first one. Oh, they're YouTube questions. Okay. Once again, shout out to everybody who's streaming with us. Lindsay Chanel, I want to understand this in more depth, so maybe you can respond on the chat. She said, what tips do you suggest for an ARD or IEP? What's an ARD?
I'm not sure what an ARD is, but an IEP
Ah,
is an individualized
yeah.
education plan.
Have you heard of an ARD, Dr. Zoe?
Not sure about an ARD, or maybe a certain term for
so
Lindsay. I'm not sure what state you're in.
We're gonna let her
Yeah.
comment back. And we're going to go to this next question from I Am. Is there an online guide? Please suggest strategies, games, etc. for parents who can't afford school or can't provide? Or this, oh, parents who can't afford what though? Oh, services. Well, okay. I hope that in this, maybe that question came before some of these points were made, but there are
Yeah.
many of those. So
Yeah,
maybe
there's
we can repeat them.
resources across the board, especially if you have a young person that is of school age. They can definitely receive resources through the school district. If you have a child that's younger than 3 years old, you can definitely look into your state resources. But know that even when you're going through these processes and understanding that there are resources out there, that you can line them up with maybe going to your doctor, going to the school, going to your state as far as your social services, whatever supports are there. A lot of times, people like to depend solely on the school.
Oh my God, that was my comment.
A lot of people like to depend
if you
solely on the
think
school.
that was what
You
I
get a
was
lot
going
of
to say.
resources when you
Don't
go
just
and-
think that's
Yeah.
going to solve it all or
Yeah.
give you the. I was
Yeah.
lucky enough for our son's kindergarten teacher to say, I might be putting my job on the line,
Yeah.
but I don't think we can really provide what your son needs. And she was the first one to write in a suggestion or referral
Yeah.
for Ryder
Talk
to
to
go
school
to a
professionals.
non-public school.
Yeah.
Which didn't ultimately, it was a good thing when it was.
It's a great
But
starting
ultimately,
point.
that doesn't mean that's the answer. I was
Yeah.
just we're diligent enough to
Yeah.
figure out what's next. If this ain't working, what's next? However,
You can't
you
afford
can't
it though.
just
It's a great
depend
starting
on
point.
what you're gonna get through the school district because you can always get other stuff.
Yeah.
That's just what
It gets you started though.
right. If
Mhm.
Other services are a
it
little
gets you started,
intimidating.
if they're gonna help you get
Yeah.
started.
Yeah, you got to be able to
What
be
if they
honest.
just want to keep your kid right there in that
Yeah. You got to be honest.
I'm just
But
saying.
unfortunately, that's a great starting point because it's most comfortable for a lot of parents because most children have to go to school. And because a
Mhm.
lot of times when you have to go back to the doctor, or if you're going back to have to find the resources in the community, it's a lot more difficult. So a lot of starting points are very good to start at your school districts because the child can go to school as early as 3 years old. So even though it may not be exactly what you're looking for, at least it gives you a guide to go ahead and get the ball rolling.
But sometimes you don't even know what you're looking for. I'm saying all these things from my own personal
Yeah.
experience. You don't know what you're looking for sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's okay to try this and try that if
Mhm.
it is within reason for what you can do. A lot of people, like, what
Right.
about before all of this when people had to go to work and weren't
Yeah.
at home? And it may be even harder now, even
But
though
if you're-
you're around your kid more, but it's harder
Right.
to actually get out and do
Right.
these.
I mean,
Right.
but
So
if you have people that we have to trust the professionals around our children because what happens
what if
is,
they
like
don't
you
have
said,
any yet?
Yeah, but we have to trust somebody, especially if you don't know exactly which direction to go. If you go into a system that they say, okay, and you have those concerns and they can give you those small answers, it's best to go ahead and take that route to be able to say, okay, the school is saying that, okay, my child is not paying attention, for example. At least be able to take whatever supports goes in that direction. You want to be able to get the ball rolling.
Right, but
A
don't
lot of
totally
times, just
lean on
don't
it. You
just-
still have to
Absolutely not.
be investigative
Absolutely not.
and
Absolutely not. Yeah.
like, oh, something's wrong,
Yeah.
and don't act like you ain't already know something might be wrong. And if you did or did, you know what I mean? If you didn't, then it's like, okay, now pump the gas, not the brakes. Like,
Especially if
Get
you
it
did not
going.
know, if you did not know what to look for and things come up and somebody offers you a concern about something, whether that is your child should be doing X, Y, and Z, you want to be able to tap in and say, well, please explore that.
Okay.
Help me understand what it is that you're saying is going on with my child. Don't be defensive. A lot of times what happens is we have, situations where if something is presented and you don't know what to look for and something's presented in front of you, sometimes it gets a little uncomfortable. So be open-minded if you have seen some challenges that your child or your adult child is facing.
Okay, sorry again to our next guest. Sorry, we are a few minutes behind, but it's stuff going on here and it's important things. And our answer to our last question came from Josh Higgins. Hey, Josh. Josh actually used to be a caregiver for Ryder. So thank you, Josh, for tuning in and streaming with us. Josh says that an ARD is an admission review dismissal. It's a meeting of a group of people who help determine whether or not a student is eligible for special education or develops the IEP.
Oh, okay. So
Hmm.
basically
It
like a
sounds
resource
like
person
it's,
in the
yeah.
district. Yeah.
It sounds
Oh,
like it's like a student
Like-
study
like
team
a
meeting or something
We
like
have
that. We call it
you guys.
different terms here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. It's just basically a district liaison that comes in and say
Now,
that
how
this
do
is
they
what
do
we're
that?
doing. So
Because
we
you
have
said something
just
wrong. Can I get someone to come in and
go
they
ahead.
ain't
Yeah,
just
it's like
gonna send them,
I'm in with you,
I
Dr.
doubt they
Zoe.
just gonna send that
okay.
person.
No, they don't.
There's
Okay.
a pre-referral process, and so there's a team basically, and then like I said, I knew this might be from a different state, but there's different names for it. But you get this process of the team getting together, which could be the teacher, it could be you there, the student could be there, other teachers depending on the grade level. But basically, there's a discussion about what they're observing, what the students' achievement and progress has been, and should we move forward with an assessment. So a lot of us have been talking these last two sessions about how you as a parent can request the assessment, but there's times that the district will bring you in to say they have observed something and they would like to assess. And just to let you know, legally, every
So,
school system in the US is required to give you an assessment as needed. And if they deny you that assessment, they're scheduled to do that in writing of why they're denying you access to an assessment, which is usually very rare. But if it does happen, you can also still go back to the table to request another one. Now, if you're living in a rural area where this happens sometimes, where your school may not have what we call special ed services, it may be such a small district where like it's one school in the whole town, that can't happen. What they do is they can go to the neighboring district, the closest district that has these supports. They can partner with them to offer the assessment to those children. So you will never not be able to get an assessment from the school side. They have to give you one as if you request it, and then if they deny it, they need to deny it in writing. So just FYI on that.
So anybody that never heard about this, like myself, on tonight, they could request this even if it wasn't already okay. Y'all heard it.
Right. It's an
Yeah.
assessment.
You heard
It's
it.
assessment that basically breaks it down into areas of need, which is in different domains. So that would be like basically looking at your self-care, looking at self-direction. We want to look at cognitive ability, the ability to be able to learn and play. These are different domains that people will come and test. And that's where you have professionals come in, like speech pathologists, occupational therapists, educational consultants and specialists that will be able to offer you a assessment, a overall action plan that said these are the services in which your child would benefit from in order to get the quality of life in which they deserve. So when you start to see things like that, now I'm not quite sure what state this individual is from as far as the ARD. However, but when you talk about in California, that is when the team gets together and say, this is what we have to offer, and say, this is the need of your child. These are the services that we have in place. And then from there, then you're referred to things like
But
the
when you
regional
say
centers.
team, people don't always
Team.
look
So
at
when
it
you
as
talk
they
about
have a
team,
team
we're
because
talking
they don't
about
feel that
professionals.
way.
Well, this
Right.
is the law.
But
This is the
everybody
law.
doesn't understand that
Yeah, when you
is
go
their
get
team because
yeah,
they don't
I get
act
it.
like they on your team.
I get it. I get it. However, in
That's
order for us to get
true.
the resources but you have to create the team. Even though you may feel a little apprehensive and you may feel a little uncomfortable at
So
times.
y'all go in there and gaffle them up. Listen. Hey, listen here.
Listen. This is what it is.
Bam.
And we have to
Put
create
things in writing. Put things in writing. Writing.
Put things
Can't
in
stress
writing.
that enough.
That is the key that
You
I
need
stand
to
by.
write it out. Yes, you
That's
need
the
to
key
write it
that-
out.
We gotta go
Need
back.
help.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Angela Joachim. I know it's probably not right. Joachim. She's on YouTube. She said, "Can autism evaluation be covered by insurance?"
Yes.
Yes, there's many different.
But it doesn't have to be.
It does not have to be. Like I said
It don't have
before,
to be.
there are free evaluations.
Mhm.
However, your insurance, yes, indeed. All you have to do is get the referral from your doctor, and you can make it happen. Yes, indeed.
Okay, another question. Now back to Lindsay, who asked about the ARD and IEP. She said, "What tips do you suggest?" But I feel like the tips part is that whole episode that we're gonna do on IEPs.
Yeah.
But I hope, Lindsay, that some of what we've shared, are sharing tonight will still make sense for what you're doing. But the IEP is a whole world unto itself, like the Brooklyn Bridge and the Holland Tunnel, child. So we're gonna navigate her on her own, and maybe that will be our next one. I don't know. We're still we have so many things to talk about. But thank you, Lindsay, for your question. And I hope that some of your concerns have been answered. Where's the other one? Oh, parents struggling during the pandemic. This doesn't necessarily have a name on it, but I don't know what that's in regard to specifically. But I mean, I'm struggling. I mean, I can't do shows. You can't go to your office. You can't go to your office. They can't go to their school. I mean, yikes.
Parents are
There's
really
exceptions to the rule.
I'm sorry. Where was this note from? Was this from a person online or that was just a comment? Oh, safeguards
safeguards.
for okay. Okay. We didn't have a whole question.
Oh,
Okay. Wow. Well, sheesh.
I think that's another issue. But I definitely know that there are a lot of struggling parents right now during the pandemic for many different reasons, whether that's services, whether that's getting to those doctor's appointments. And if we
Going
just
to
go
school,
back,
going to work,
I mean, just
going to
doing many different
therapy,
things.
going to the
So
park.
I know that even up in the Bay, even when you think about things like being able to go to the doctor, and even if we're looking at new parents that are looking at early detection, I think you should still go about it the same way. Even though doctors aren't able to see your children and able to go in, even during the pandemic, you should be able to express the concerns of assessment or being able to get the evaluations, even though they're not able to see your child. Because this is the best time that you're able to see your child grow and go through those milestones and go through different things that you're able to document that you probably wouldn't be able to document on a normal
this is definitely
working
a
day.
time you could do that.
So
That's
this is
for
a time
sure.
where, journaling and being able to really be able to tell a doctor exactly what you are experiencing with your family member, to just express some of the concerns that you find are very important to your environment and your family.
And there are places that the doctors have set up different protocols and procedures to still allow patients to come in, as well as we have the telemedicine. The school district is the same way. The districts have set up protocols and procedures in place. It's a case by case. So I talked about this last session. If you are struggling with being at home with your child right now and your child has an active IEP or 504 plan, it's okay to have what they call an addendum meeting. Request that meeting and say, hey, I need some additional supports. I am struggling with this online platform with my child. If you have services that are being offered in the home. Let's say you have an in-home behavioral team. This is a great time to see if that team can come during the online sessions so they can help assist with that protocol if they're coming in your home. So these are things that you need to know and be aware of, that yes, there are still this safeguard around keeping everyone safe and protected, but we do have different policies and plans to do assessments, to get certain services that are needed, and to give the parents some support and relief.
Thank you, Dr. Zoe. We
You're
actually
welcome.
had another question, but because we are a few minutes behind Queen H on YouTube, we're going to get back to your question because I think our guest is going to be able to also speak to your question. Our guest panelist tonight, LaShawn Browning, is the mother of a 17-year-old son thriving because of early detection. She is an advocate of early detection and managing familial involvement in the therapeutic environment needed for children with learning disabilities. She owns a production company creating high quality entertainment and she's now charged with spearheading new content within the Viacom brands and their digital platform relationships. Please welcome LaShawn Browning.
Hi, how's everyone? Hey, Faith.
Hey.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Can
Good
you
to
hear
be
us?
here. Yes, I can hear you guys.
Can you hear us? I can see
Yeah.
you. I see your glasses. I see your scarf.
In my shirt.
So Sean, thank you so much for joining us. We have we met, by way of doing television projects together, and then I found out that LaShawn had a son that had different needs, and we began to talk about it and talk about doing different projects together, but not until now were we able to actually talk about it together in a public forum. So um, I just want you to jump in and just tell us about your walk with you and Avery, and
Okay.
how things have been. How did you become the advocate that you are, and how did you become an advocate for early detection, early intervention, and such?
Yeah, sure. We learned, I was reading a book that someone had given me a book, What to Expect, and you track it, every month of the stages. And I don't remember exactly, it's been almost 20 years, but at one point I realized, I was like, I said to his father, I said, something is not that something's not right, but I felt something was not quite, hitting the mark. And at 3, I mean, his dad would read to him every night, but by 3 years old, he was decoding. So he could, as you guys know what that is, I mean, he could read, but but it was almost like, we didn't know if it was memory or what. So immediately we thought like, okay, this is probably high um, high functioning autism or something. So at 3, I was super nervous. I always tell Faith this. I think I lost 35 pounds like fast. I was so stressed out. He is our only child. I didn't know what was going on. So we met someone. Well, someone said do early intervention. So the woman, they came to the house to do an assessment, and it was the most terrible experience for me and for us. She, I don't know. It was just cold. It was transactional. It didn't feel right. And we found a specialist, a private speech therapist to go through the assessment. And I was in the room earlier and I was listening to you guys, and we did the same thing in the beginning. Like we did it over time, and I don't remember exactly how much when he was 3, but I can jump to that there were issues. Um, he there was echolalia. Am I saying that right? Uh,
Yes.
um,
Layla.
okay, yeah. So that started, and that was even more of a reason, we thought it was autism. And he went, and he was assessed, and we went into deep deep therapy, play therapy, physical, OT, speech therapy. And he did those therapies until ninth grade. He was always in a therapeutic environment. He was in a school, on the Upper West Side. That was I'm forgetting now. It was non-funded. It was DOE funded, but it was very hard to get into, because so many people needed the service and wanted this, were in need. So we did get in, and he stayed in
And
that
that's in New York.
environment. Yeah, in New York. And he stayed in that
That's in New York.
environment. And yes, the school is in New York, and he stayed in that therapeutic environment until ninth grade. He's currently in a similar high school, where it's more of a, they are learning. It's a Quaker school, but it's been around for about 35 years, and it's a dyslexic children are there, ADHD. But I do want to say one thing and not overtalk, that at one point with the we thought, um, I forget what I was going to say. It was something really important. I'll get back to it. But he's been thriving. We made sure that we kept our family members at bay. Quite honestly, we love them, but their recommendation was, he'll get better. Leave him alone. He'll get better. He's a boy. It'll take a while. You're stressing out. So we're glad that we didn't. And he is thriving. And it was a lot of
Question,
work,
LaShawn,
and we made a lot of
question, real quick.
sacrifices. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
When did you get a diagnosis on Avery? Were you
We
able
got it.
to get a diagnosis when you felt something was wrong? Because I know that his dad is like, a professional, a professor, and, so
Yeah.
were you able to get a diagnosis right away?
The first diagnosis was, it was just speech delay, expressive language delay. It was a different, I think, expressive, and I forget the other word. Expressive, whatever the word
Okay.
is when you. So yes, he did do that. But then when he was older, at about 7 or 8, they thought that he also had borderline ADHD. And they wanted us to look out for that. Um, he definitely has attention challenges, but he's aware of those challenges. He advocates for himself now. He knows his limitations. He knows his challenges. He knows what to ask for. He understands. I wouldn't even call him limit. He knows that, he's that there are things that he needs more time with. So yeah, we did do that.
Right. I
We
remember
we
you
did
told
get
me
that.
one time, you were like, Avery told me, it's okay, mom. They know. I just take a little more time. It's all good.
Right.
He sounds like he's very aware,
Yeah.
Yes.
but there, you know, I guess that would be considered because he sounds like a freaking genius
Yeah.
based
Yeah.
on the things I know about him from you. So
Yeah.
obviously that is considered high functioning,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I mean,
In
some
terms
people,
of
it totally depends on how you see it. You know, a
Okay.
lot of people don't like to look at it as high functioning, low
Right.
function. They don't like to look at it
Right.
in any type of way. I think because you see it just as what it is, as that deficit.
Right. This is
Um,
just my
um,
child.
Right.
This person.
Most of the young people that I've ever met are geniuses. I'm not going to even lie.
Mhm.
They possess
Yeah.
such a certain, a special gift that you would definitely say that they are geniuses. But I think what's most important is just being able to acknowledge the fact that you did get early detection and that you were able to teach your son now at this point to be able to self advocate, to be
Right.
able to know exactly what it is that he finds would help him to be the best him that he can be. And
Yeah.
so I definitely commend you for that, to know that if you found out early. And sometimes when people hear about assessments and stuff because they're uncomfortable, it doesn't mean that you don't have to touch another assessment. What it means is that you need to find the assessment that best fits your child. And there's a array of standard
But even that word
assessments
assessment
and tests.
is, but those words
Yeah,
Yeah.
are a little different for people
they feel
that don't,
uncomfortable.
well, but just that don't understand that
It's
world or the
intimidating.
verb. And again, I'm very intelligent. I know what an assessment is, but at the same time, even having done one or two of them that were not really conclusive to what was going to help me with my
Yeah.
child. If I was one that didn't even, it's just assess. Like I feel like it would be great for us to use assessment, aka
Huh.
find out, child. Like
Huh.
let's choose a ghetto way, a regular way.
Well, you may
Because
be
I'm
finding
just
out
saying,
over time.
now,
So that's the other thing that people need to know. You're going to keep having your child finding out. You're going to discover, just like with any other child, you
how about
discover
that?
different
Let's
things
find
as they
out.
develop.
Thank you, Mo.
Yeah.
They have some things they call it.
Thank you. Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Finding out.
Discovery,
Thank you.
creating
Yeah.
something to where we don't have to see it as a word of discomfort, because there's no way
Right.
to look at it other than that, to be able to really discover the different steps, because we do have to accept that there is an individual that has a different ability that may think a little different from us. So just like you said,
Definitely.
finding out or discover, we have a lot of people that call it many different things to create that
Well, don't know what to
inclusive
call it, or don't want to do it
connection.
because it don't sound.
It just don't sound
welcoming.
good. It just
That's all
don't
I'm
sound
You want
good.
to know
Right.
what the hell is going on? How about that?
There's a lot of ways to find out.
Right.
How about get that test for free? Let's say it like that. I'm
Yeah.
just saying. Let's
Yeah.
get that test for free. Hey, let's get that test for free. I mean, whatever.
I think what goes with that
If
discomfort,
it feels right.
yeah, it's just only because you also go into a
Yeah.
space that's unfamiliar. And when something
Right.
is not familiar to you, they start to use words that usually mean that you are looking at something really hard. That's what assessment and evaluation and a testing is usually feels like. It's somebody that's over you looking at something that you're doing. So a lot of times we just, because it's so uncomfortable, those words just create more discomfort. And we don't
But
want
the
our
thing
children to be
is-
uncomfortable either.
Right.
So it's definitely important
Right.
because children feed off of their parents as well.
Right. But if this
What's
is something
interesting,
that the
mhm.
mind frame of knowing that this is something I need to do to access this for my child, then you should go in there if you already know that. And if you're just
Yeah.
finding it out as well, go in there with that mind frame and you can treat it as such. That don't mean
Yeah.
being rude and ratchet,
Right.
It's like, no. It's okay to be, you can be tactfully honest. That's my favorite phrase.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can be
Yeah.
like, I don't like, no, there's no, it's okay. And again, get a second opinion. I don't think that's the correct assertion of who my child is. I
Yeah.
don't think that's the
Yeah.
right, this is not gonna, or if it didn't give you what you thought you were gonna get from it, then go at it again. Like, and sometimes we don't know how to do it. We don't feel like doing it. We don't have the time. We don't, but in this world, it's uber important,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Go ahead, LaShawn. I think she wanted to say something.
And what
yeah.
was really important to us too, speaking on remember piggybacking on what they said, is it took me and it took us, it was a hard pill to swallow. But what I started to do, I reprogrammed myself, and I knew it was important for me to be a truth teller in what I was seeing myself as a mother, and what I was going through, what he, was dealing with, and what I was seeing. And I became a partner. It wasn't easy, but eventually we became partners to his intervention, to his team. And a lot of those people,
Right.
like Faith, are still in his life, tutors, and all that. And it's it's in terms of him being a black boy, is really, not to racialize it, however, being a boy, being a black boy, and having someone assess him, finding out, you just we're always challenged historically about our intelligence, about our
Mhm.
capabilities. So it, even though his friends, who were the spaces he was in, were predominantly white, those mothers and fathers weren't, they were nervous because that's their children, but they weren't as, it cut us deep. Not Avery. We love Avery. We don't, it doesn't matter. But for us, we had a fear of, how's he going to be treated? Will he fit in? Because we didn't want him to go. I mean, the other services that he can get, and the other spaces that he could be in, I mean, one school they had us look at, it was literally, those children were in the basement, like with with a door that looked different. They were, it was, and Faith and I always talk about, what can we do to get to, women of color, and parents of color, caretakers, that they don't, that we can, so put our arms around them somehow, or a group of people, that they don't have to be ashamed, but it's hard, but we can do it.
Thank you, LaShawn, for even bringing that up.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the key facts that we need to tune in on, because that was something that I spoke about as far as cultural matches. Is that sometimes, even though we know that there are needs out there for our children, we're put in positions to where the cultural, it doesn't match, and they don't understand people from other cultures, don't
Right.
understand one another. So I won't just categorize it and say one doesn't know the other. But what I think
Right.
is most important is that we are
Don't know each
culturally
other.
sensitive to the needs and the
Mhm.
wants of everyone.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, thank you again, LaShawn, for bringing it up, because demographically, there is such a high level of disparity in other areas that we do need to tune in on the needs of all communities, because there's not
Mhm.
a better need, I want to say greater need for one area, that there is not that same need for the other area. And when you're dealing with fundings and demographic location, and dealing with regional center and social services, a lot of times, because of that, the funding is very different due to the population or the area in which you live in.
Or the people
And
taking advantage of
so,
the
LaShawn, you brought up
funding.
such a key fact around the world that we need to bring
Mhm.
attention to it, because demographic location should not limit the possibility of you receiving the level of support that is needed for
Right.
the individual that is in your family. And what we see is we are witnesses of that. It doesn't matter your status quo, but whatever you check on the box as far as your racial, unfortunately, discrimination is really real, you know, and what you are and who you are. So we have to understand that these things do play a part in the resources that the children
So
receive.
Are you saying if I put we was American Indians?
Ah,
Okay, never mind. Never mind.
But I do want to speak that clear.
Okay, well,
Now,
back to our questions.
We're not doing that. We're not
Yes.
standing alone, and that we do have to create awareness in those areas
Hey,
to make
Yeah.
those resources.
my daughter was born with Mongolian marks on her back. You know what I'm saying?
So
I mean,
Black
there
marks.
is a
I
there
think
is
that's
a there is a special education to prison pipeline that's deep, so not to totally
yes,
go off there, but these are things that we
right.
I had to get my head into a different place and become super knowledgeable and have the
Yeah,
ammo to have these tough
you better.
conversations with the
How did
therapist.
you do that though? Because the people that, and there are plenty of them that are knowledgeable in one way or another, but even like myself, even when we meet about TV stuff, we always end up with me asking you this and that because we worked together for years and I didn't know
Right.
that LaShawn had a teenage son
Oh wow.
that was, had on the spectrum with,
On the spectrum, yeah.
disabilities. And once we got into that conversation, it was like, oh, let's do this. And but
Yeah.
we just I'm just so glad you're able to, lend your time tonight to just even share with all the people. But a lot of the people who are on these chat rooms and streaming with us are not in that lane of no, or not,
Yeah.
whether it's
Right.
because of their financial level, whether it's just because they just don't know.
Yeah.
Like I don't. I didn't know a lot.
Yeah.
Still don't know a lot. But even in the beginning, like I keep saying, I was only able to supplement things because I had a couple of $20. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I
Right.
got
Right.
$20.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, but if you can't do that, people just don't how were you able to even understand you should do? Because like again, your son's dad
Yeah.
is a educational professional,
Right.
but how did you guys discover all these things that you were able to tap into? Because the average person does not know that unless they have someone that's either a professional
Right.
in an
Right.
educational lane, a physical, the
Yeah.
medical field, or
Right.
in the special needs, world.
I mean, for me and for us, we just I had to survive, right? And for a minute, I was surviving because it was new to me. I'd heard about the people who were dealing with certain things. You never thought, I did it as a way to give myself, and there are books out there, there are articles, there's so much about this. Late
Yeah.
talking children. I mean, there's so much. And I don't want to come off flip. But as much as whatever people love and spend their time doing, this is one of the things that, you have to, as busy as we are, you
Chose
have
to spend your
to,
time doing.
yeah, you got to spend your time researching it, reading articles, just as if
Yeah.
we get, things, newsletters to go to our computer about, you can Google this stuff um, well, be careful with the Googling. That could drive you crazy too. So, like, be careful with Google. But
Talked about that.
yeah, Google probably almost sent
Daddy
me into
Google.
yeah.
Yes.
So, there are a lot of different ways. I just wanted to be a student of it because I wanted to know as much as
Right.
they, I respect them as therapists, but I also was never afraid to just say it, like, hey, this is
Yeah.
we
And
were not
question them
afraid to,
too.
Yeah.
yeah, question them and
You can
not
question
accuse, we
them
didn't
too.
accuse them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
question
should.
them. He's a black
Yeah.
boy.
Should.
This is
Right.
what we expect. This is his family structure. This is what we were very, no, trying to, he's going to be treated like everyone else. That's BS. We knew it wasn't going to happen that way by everyone, but for the most part, we had a pretty not smooth, but we just advocated from the beginning. And did he have an edge that his father is a a professor, a well-known professor that is in the education world? Yeah, but he's also very his work is around black men and boys. So, we started
Mhm.
to say this child came into our life because of the work that he was put here to do, actually. So we had to, you know, um,
Yeah.
we found ways to
Make
to
him
just
make them see that he's your star child. You better
Right.
look
right.
at baby Jesus.
Yeah.
That's
Hello.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
You better
That's
look at
right.
baby Jesus.
Seriously.
but
That
we
part.
but conversely, we do know
That's what's
people
supposed to
But
who
I
may
mean,
not
I'm
have
Yeah.
had
saying
that.
Get his
in
family
a
on board.
subliminal way, like
Yeah.
you got to make them look at your child that way,
Yeah.
even if it don't feel
Right.
so comfortable for you to feel like you even have that power to
Yeah.
do that. Like, but this is they're depending on you,
Yeah.
like,
That's right.
Solely.
and it's
Mhm.
so difficult because as a parent, when you're going through those, whether you're questioning, diagnosed, waiting for
Mhm.
one, that it's just so wow. It's such a God, it's a tightrope of feelings,
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
but at the same time ain't gonna wait. You still got to
Yeah.
figure it out. You got to
Because
be
you're thinking
That's
about
you have
true.
to
everything.
be proactive
Yeah. You're thinking about
at the
Yeah.
same
everything.
time in whatever way you can. So
Yeah.
again, thank you to everyone that's with us because we're trying to just throw it out there. I know it might be a lot,
Right.
Yeah.
but we're trying to sort it
It
out and
is a lot.
give pieces of information to everybody that I've come in contact with. And since when Ryder was diagnosed, I think it was obviously before 3 because I said I
Mm-hmm.
wanted him to get the
Yeah.
regional center
Yes.
stuff. But I was always proactive about let's figure it out. And I know that there was a time when I wasn't Faith Evans, the recording artist.
Yeah.
I was China's mama when China was in the Newark preschool system, and I didn't have a record deal, but I still went to her school every day. And when I got
Right.
a
Yeah.
deal, I still picked her up after my studio sessions. And when I had a child later on that had special needs, I still wanted to dedicate that same,
Time.
attention
Yeah.
and understanding
Active.
to,
Yeah.
even though I didn't have to figure it out before, but I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
who else is gonna do this for him? I can't
Uh,
depend on
Right.
Right.
these people that don't live with
Talk
him,
about
that
it.
don't wake up with him, that don't
Yeah.
have to change his diaper, that don't
Yeah.
have
Right.
to,
Right.
you know, apologize to someone that he
Yeah.
spit on,
Yeah.
or you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's just so important. And I just thank all you guys again for being a
Yeah.
part of helping us bring this information to people. LaShawn, I think we got some questions for you. Actually,
Okay.
we had one that I was saving from earlier. It's from Queen H on YouTube. And she said, how can you help a parent who doesn't want to see something is different about their child?
Mm.
Mm.
Which I guess
That's
people
a
denial
fun one.
thing. And I don't know if she means, well, obviously you haven't gotten a diagnosis because you don't want to see it. So you don't want to hear it. So,
Right. So time is on her side. So anybody who is in that person's support system or around them, you just have to wrap them around and be supportive. So even when I'm working with school district employees, childcare providers, I tell them you need to be patient. You share the resources, share the information, give that parent some time to kind of digest it down and be willing to accept it. You still will have to report out what you're observing, what you're seeing to the parent, but you need to be patient. Now, on the school side, unfortunately, what can happen is they will push parents if the child is really struggling because they need to make sure that child is getting educational benefit. So if this child is continuing to fail, if the child is continuing to get kicked out of the classroom, having, aggressive behaviors towards people, they will call you in to say, this is no longer, we can't wait any longer. So there's a process they will take you to push that issue. So you have to make sure that at some point you will have to accept it and recognize it and get the help. And at that point, it's really not about you, it's about your child. So you need to always keep that in the forefront of your mind, is I want what's best for my child. So while you're taking your time to make this decision and process it, they're losing out on that early supports that they could be getting. And that's what we're talking about tonight. So you need to be open to saying, hey, I need to get this help. I can't wait any longer. My child's suffering. Our household is suffering. It's not fair to them at the end of the day.
And I think it's interesting for
Well,
me as a mom. I think I appreciate now when I look back, it's not that you need to when you're talking about someone's child. So when I would have liked, I mean, we saw it, Faith and I saw it in the beginning. So it wasn't like so much that people could tell us. However, there was one time when people need to know that they have hope. They need to know that don't when people attack a child's behavior. Avery happened to have been a child that didn't have, behavioral challenges. Okay. But there were, we know of other people who whatever behavior challenges, I don't even like that, but challenges that are connected with the disability. Okay. And you can't, oh, he tears up the desk, he's tearing up the room. That's not the way to deal with it. It has to be supportive. These are their children, it's someone's child. And I just feel that it's a way, an empathetic
and
way
it's a human
to address
being
it.
that is
Yeah.
not in control of
What's going on?
these
Yeah.
things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
Right.
thank you.
I mean, I'm gonna
Yeah,
let her
thank you
finish,
for
but
chiming in on
she
that.
touched something on me.
Yeah, that's a key fact right there, LaShawn, honestly, because a lot of times what I have experienced as a service provider is
Yeah.
parents that are having a difficulty looking at their child as different is because they are getting a lot of negative feedback. Oh, this is happening. Oh, that is happening. Why is your child not looking at me? Why is your child not saying hi? Why is your child go hiding? What is he doing? Why is he throwing that stuff? Why is he spitting and not, so
Yeah.
you're absolutely correct that there's a I want to say a disconnect in our community as a whole.
Yes.
When people see this, and especially as professionals, I'm going to tell you, even as a service provider, it is mandatory to be mindful that this is a person's child.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people get in this field and it's not because they're not sensitive to those things, unfortunately. It's just, okay, get the job done. This job is done. Okay, hey, your child has a problem. And like Faith said,
Right.
you're not going to bed with this person or you're not taking this. So you're just saying whatever the textbook told you to say if you experience something. But you're absolutely correct that even if a person gets to a point to where they say they don't see that something is different about their child, like Dr. Zoe said, it's important that we are sensitive to that and that we understand, like LaShawn said also, that there is hope, that your child does have the opportunity to still meet the things that they want to meet in their lives, that just because they may have something that comes into place that may shift things around, that may force the family to work a little bit harder, does not mean that they cannot meet the quality of life that they deserve.
But you got to think about them.
Yes.
And it's so hard.
So thank you for chiming in on that. That's very, very, very important that not only are we responsible of saying that this is happening, but we're also responsible for saying that there is a solution to these things.
Let me go back to that question, though, in the first place. How can you help a parent who doesn't want? First of all, you got to want to see. First of all, let's start with C. You see that something is wrong. Let me go backwards for y'all. You know, I could play reverse psychology if you want to. Okay. We're going to start from the end of the question. You see something is wrong, so you should want to help.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
the, I mean, hello,
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
parent.
You
So, yeah,
see.
the parent might need help, but guess who needs help first? The child.
Yeah.
That's
That
right.
part. I ain't even an expert, but I got a lot of damn common sense, y'all.
Yeah.
I got a lot of good sense over here.
Yeah.
Pat me on the back if you want to. But Queen H, if you see something is different, you should want to help. And I don't think it's a situation of someone telling you how can they help. It's like, where can I get help? And I
Yeah.
think that hopefully these different resources we're talking about, because I can't personally help anyone other than telling my story and
Yeah.
sharing, you know, the professional and clinical advice I've gotten. And I've gotten a lot of advice from parents like LaShawn and the different parents who have volunteered to be a part of this whole symposium. But I mean, if you know something's wrong, you got to seek out that information, seek out the help. And we are trying to, over these next couple of months, and I mean, we have a few episodes to go, but give you guys information on a lot of things because there's so many
Yeah.
topics. And I wanted to do it all in one, and I realized it's no way.
Yes,
And thanks
you
to
did.
Zoe's vision, we were able to say, hey, let's just do a whole little series to the next question. And this actually is from my daughter. Hey, China. She says,
Hi, China.
what are some activities you can do with kids on the spectrum to keep them occupied during this time, which I'm sure is in a lot of people's concern. I mean,
Hmm.
it depends on where you are. If you're in Atlanta, I guess you could go to everywhere. Go to the
Right. That's true.
but California is shut down. And
New York
Yeah.
is shut down.
Get outside.
I mean, walk around the
yeah.
block 10 times.
Get outside.
I mean, do
Get
jumping jacks in
outside.
the front yard or
Mhm.
something. Like,
Mhm.
it's probably things that seem so little and so
Right.
abnormal and not what you usually do. But I know our
And
son,
look
he likes
at,
to just go out, and
yeah.
we've
And you
been
could
able
look
to
at
like just
what
kind of
they
take
want to,
little
yeah.
road
Practice
trips.
on those life
You
skills.
said what, Dr.
Right.
Zoe?
I was going to say to kind of break down this question a little bit because, some of my parents, they want to have some time for themselves too. So you have to look at some activities that the child can do independently. So you may need to pay attention to what some of those things are. Some of the children I work with on the spectrum, they like a lot of visual stimuli. So they like being on their iPads, watching different shows, things like that. You may want to save those activities for those independent times and moments. So, meaning you may have to limit that access to those points of reference, right? But then each one is individual. So it's like you have to look at what are their interests and what are their desires. Some like some more sensory types of activities. So maybe there's some water play activities. Maybe there's, they might like doing different cooking projects. It just depends. You have to kind of know your child. You're that expert. So you have to know what kind of activities they enjoy. So it's going to be hard for us to kind of give you this list of different activities without knowing your child. But what you can do is you can ask those types of questions. Ask even some of the teachers, what were they doing in class. Sometimes you guys don't know all the different activities they were exposed to in the classroom, and now they're at home and you're not clear on that. It's okay to ask for more activities that they can give you that they really enjoy, that you didn't know that they enjoyed.
Listen,
Yeah.
even sometimes, even if you do know some of them and it's not your area of, it's not fun for me,
Yeah.
I know Ryder likes, okay, our son likes to just, he pours out everything. You have a drink,
Mhm.
whether it's a
Yeah.
bottle of water or a cocktail, he's going to pour it out. He wants to pour
Yep.
things in different containers. He likes measuring things. So I just ordered some we do the makeshift volcano things, and not that takes up his time for most of the time, but it's like
Yeah.
every once in a while, like, certain things that it may not be in your comfort zone or what you usually do with your child, but it's something they're interested in. Ryder likes to sing, obviously, naturally. So Stevie makes up songs with him all day long about whatever it is: washing your body, washing the clothes. You're a big boy, yeah, and you like Chick-fil-A, yeah. Whatever it is, like certain things that are little things, but that you may not even get, but that are big things to your child. I mean, there's things that you can do, and no, it ain't gonna take up the whole day because you
Right.
got stuff to do too. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But
Yep.
I mean, as difficult as it is, like you just, especially now, have to kind of
Yeah.
take a little chip at the block, at a time at a time. And even with us doing this, I know it's a lot of information that although it may be useful, it's maybe hard to put it to use
Yeah.
in a time like this. But at the same time, I felt like this was a great time to get people to actually hear it because, most people aren't doing much else.
Yeah. I want to
Well,
chime.
unless you're hopefully
I de-
going to do a science project with your child right now.
Right.
But I'm just saying.
I mean, and science projects are really fun, but I definitely want to chime in when it comes to that because I think it gets hard to kind of organize those ideas when it comes to trying to find those things for your child to do in a day. So I definitely want to recommend getting an idea of like a schedule. I know that sounds a little school or therapeutic, but it's always good to have an idea of when you want to, again, like Dr. Zoe said, when you want to schedule that free time, when you want to schedule those activities, when you want to schedule the free time to get on those computers. Because even though you may think that, oh, we don't need a schedule and I can just say this, it's good to just have something written down, especially during this time when we talk about what are some things that we can do? What are some activities we can engage in? How can I introduce maybe chores or more life skills, especially if you have a concern of your child having a different ability? You want to start to try to increase the amount of opportunities to practice on life skills and how to be more independent and whatever that may look like in your home.
Well, some people don't know how to discover what that looks like in their home. But I know one thing that has been helpful in our household, even in the 6-7 years, just a lot of children are well, I know our son, Ryder, is good with a visual schedule,
Yeah.
a board, writing it out. Hey, we're doing this now. We're doing, the scheduling, the knowing this is coming now,
The
and
timer.
right,
The timer.
timers and things of that
Yes.
nature, are important. But these things all kind of come into play when you're creating a system for your child, but that still takes being able to hone into that.
Right.
And even on the most minute level, I hope that some people can grasp what we're saying now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because again, hey, I don't have a board right here. I'd be like, Malika, we ain't do this. I ain't write that. I don't have all that. I try it. I do this. I do that. You know what I mean? But what I know is we try and keep it consistent. He has class. He knows it. And we're going to go back to our questions because I don't want to talk too much. You got a question.
The best therapy for
That's
increasing.
Who's that from?
Renee Melendez.
Okay.
Yes. So Renee, you want to know the best therapy for increasing social skills and how frequent? I think you can work on social skills all day. And that's from engaging, talking to your child, trying to explore the many different things that you are doing during the day, being able to share learning experiences. I'm a person that says teachable experiences happen often. You can take all opportunities to say, hey, I want to teach my child how to socialize a little different. And that may be engaging in conversations, sitting down and playing small board games with your family, being able to do small little cooking projects.
She might mean social
these
skills.
are-
I'm sorry to cut you off.
She said
sorry.
therapy
She
for
might
increasing
mean
social skills.
skills in terms of outside people. I'm not positive of that, but she might mean that because
Social skills. Social skills is social skills.
but right,
Yeah.
but if you don't understand it or see it in that way, she might mean social skills
Well,
from the perspective of a social skills class
going
with other
outside
people
and yeah,
outside of my household. But it can also start within your home.
that's the best place to start. So
Okay.
I'm going to always kind of go right back there.
I think that's important.
The
to
best
point
place
out.
you kind of start. You start with the individuals that are in your home to practice on social skills, being able to engage in conversation, being able to interact appropriately. And that usually happens when you have family members that may come by. That usually may happen if you are engaged in a task or something that is going on in the home. That happens in many different ways in your home environment, to where you can then practice that when you go grocery shopping and different things. So there's different types of skills that you can practice in many different environments, but you would definitely have to be specific on what area in which you would want to increase those social skills.
And let me just say, just to, because I didn't before, Malia could tell everybody your website and where they can reach you, because if you guys have any questions or, things you want to direct toward Malia and Dr. Zoe, let them give you their info.
Yes, of course, you can find me at maliakaassociates.com. That is my website. You can also reach me on Instagram. You can look at Daily Autism Whisper, and also you can find me at Maliaka Associates LLC on Instagram. And if you're just having a little bit of fun and you want to find out where I'm at, go into the community. I'm always out in the community, still out there with my mask on. I got friends out there that's practicing on those clear masks. So let's go ahead and just create a possibility in the community, or you can find me online.
Dr. Zoe, tell everybody where they can reach you at. Okay. And in addition to all of this, you guys, this is free game. But if you want to donate to any of these these groups that Malika, Dr. Zoe, and I myself have created, you can go on their websites and push that donate button. But tell them where, Dr. Zoe.
All right, you can go to drzoebartholomew.com, or you can go to drbehave.org. And I got a plethora of information on my website. I even put up some tips today for you guys, so you can have something to take home with you. So if you join on the membership side, you'll have access to all these different little resources that I put in there, and I'm constantly loading up stuff as I see that you need. And feel free to just reach out to me. I'm here to be a support. I helped a couple of parents from the last session just get to where they need to go. So I'm accessible. Hit me up.
Can I get back? Hello.
Hello.
Hey, LaShawn, listen, once again, thanks to you guys, Dr. Zoe, Malika, and special thanks to you, LaShawn, because I know you're used to being behind the camera and not in front of it. And I mean, I know that what we talk about in private, there's a part of that is important to other people. So thank you so much for being willing to share, any bit of information about your story and how you guys have, are navigating this walk with Avery. And, you've been very supportive with me, even in the time that I've known you. Like I said, we always end up talking about what we're doing with our sons who, have special needs, and how are we doing this? And I'm asking you questions, but you're in another state that doesn't have the same type of services or whatever. But thank you so much for sharing your time, your information. And again, to everybody that is streaming with us, I hope that you guys have been blessed and informed. And guess what? We're going to be doing this every other week. I hope it might be every week, but I got to gather my senses and do my laundry. Hang my clothes out on the line in the backyard. But we have a lot of things to cover. So thank you guys again, and God bless you all. I hope someone has been blessed informed.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
again, nobody is asking for nothing, but if someone wants to be out there and be a beneficiary, if you want to do something that's donative, you can click on all of them buttons.
Right.
And we love you and God bless you. Good night.
Love you guys.
This is Good
Thank
Deeds
you for
Special
having me.
Good night.
Rummy Bingham, thank you. We love you.
See you guys later. Oh, yeah.